Hey everybody, this is Spencer and Naveed.
Hello.
And this is Real Buttons Podcast, episode 6. It's going to be something of a light podcast tonight.
Yeah, not
slow.
much news these past few days, but we'll try to make it as entertaining as possible.
With some of our homegrown spices.
Yes. Whatever that means.
Anyways, what's up with you, man? What have you been up to?
Nothing much. I guess we'll start off with what has happened to us these past few days, or what we bought. And so my Wii died. I have no idea what happened to it. I haven't really turned it on. Dude, I don't even know. I haven't turned it on for like a few weeks or maybe a month or so.
Foxconn is what happened to it, man.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. Let's go with that. But basically, I turned it on. It goes to the health and safety screen, you know, where you have to press A to go to the Wii menu, and basically I can press A, then there's a black screen. The Wii menu never pops up. I don't know what to do. I have to freaking send that thing in because Nintendo's dumb and they have no account system, so I can't recover any of the games I bought on Virtual Console or WiiWare. You know, they have to transfer all that stuff to a new system or repair the system I already have, and that's going to cost, like, I think they said $80.
That's nuts.
That's pretty dumb.
That's like half the cost of a brand new Wii.
I know. And I would have waited. Like, if Nintendo had an account system, I would have waited till Wii U.
Actually, during Black Friday, you could Walmart had that blue Wii for $100.
Yeah,
I know. Backward compatibility.
I know. It's dumb. It's absolutely crazy. But I mean, it's something I guess I have to do. I don't want to lose all my save data for those games. I don't want to lose all the games I bought. So that happened. That's some bad news for me that happened this past few days. But yeah, whatever. What are you gonna do? Can't really do much about it.
Yeah, I don't know too many people with Wiis actually. Let's see. There's me, you, Richard, my cousin. My cousin had a failed Wii. His had the remember that artifacting issue with the GPU?
Maybe. I don't know. Not sure.
You suck.
Well, I know another problem that some people have, but that like the Wii doesn't read dual layer discs or something like that.
Yeah, that was like so the laser was dirty or something.
I had that problem, but like it would at some point it would start reading the disc, so it wasn't like fully messed up. I had to try a couple times before it worked. Yay! They're making everything now.
They make
Hooray.
everything, and everything is shittier because of it.
I guess so. Let's get away from that bad news and talk about the Olympics, I guess. The Olympics just started. And
there's bad news in the Olympics, too. Michael Phelps is underperforming.
Well, he didn't want to race in that. So if you guys don't know, he was in the 400-meter individual medley race, which is basically like where they do all the different strokes. And that was the race he actually didn't want to compete in. He actually said beforehand, like, he just wasn't going to compete in that race. I guess I don't know what happened. He said he was going to go up against Lochte, who is now like the best American swimmer apparently. And yeah, and he got 4th place.
Well, to be fair, that's because Phelps hasn't really been training, but yeah.
That's true.
But Phelps still holds his records.
He'll still win a few medals for sure. Phelps is going to win. I'd say he's going to win a couple golds, a couple silvers. You know, I don't think he's going to do that poorly. He should break the record as most decorated Olympian.
I think he's going to do fine this Olympics. I don't think I don't think we're going to see the Beijing performance.
No, of course not. It's going to be you're going to be hard pressed to find anybody do that ever again. I think is that like the only sport that's possible to do that? Swimming?
To get that many medals in one. Yeah. I think you can do it, and I think there's a couple other sports that you can come close to it in.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know all of them.
But anyway, the Olympics are starting. I'm pretty excited for it. I watched the opening ceremony. Did you see that? Did you see the opening ceremony?
Yeah, of course I did.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as Beijing, obviously.
Well, but Beijing's was giant. And actually, I thought that it was a fairly well done opening ceremony.
I thought it was pretty good
for the opening ceremonies in general, but
Yeah, it was better than I
The
expected.
cell phone thing was pretty retarded, but
Oh yeah, that whole thing.
like
That was
where they
really
were like doing
long
the text
too.
bubbles next to the people,
And it was really long.
it was like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Just the whole aspect of that part was kind of weird. I thought their torch was really cool. It was like a flower or something, and then it just went up to make the torch, and
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. I really liked the part where they were like in the Industrial Revolution, and they were like
Yeah, with the
hammering down.
smokestacks.
Yeah, and they were hammering down like the part of the Olympic, whatever the rings.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rings went up in the air and like shot sparks down. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, we'll see what happens during the Olympics. Obviously, I root for the U.S. as well as Iran because my family's from Iran. They have a few athletes that are apparently supposed to do good in like wrestling and weightlifting and taekwondo. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's the Olympics. I saw The Dark Knight Rises recently. I saw it at IMAX. That movie is amazing, and it's a sad thing to really talk about because of what happened in Colorado. Was it Aurora?
Aurora, yeah.
Yeah, but you know it's really sad for those guys. My heart really goes out to them. But the actual movie is freaking fantastic. I think it might be my favorite Batman movie out of the trilogy. I'm not sure if it's better than The Dark Knight or not. I haven't watched The Dark Knight in a while, so I'd have to like watch them together to really compare. But it was a really good movie. And Bane as a villain, he was phenomenal. I didn't think anyone would get close to Heath Ledger as the Joker, but I don't know the guy's name who played Bane, but he did an amazing job, and he's just fierce, that guy. Like he's badass. Bane is a badass character. And if you have a chance to go see it at IMAX, definitely do that because it's pretty awesome. You should go see that, Spencer. I know you don't like Hollywood movies that much, but that's a really good movie.
I still haven't even seen Dark Knight. Eventually, I'll see it.
Yeah,
eventually I'll see Dark Knight. I mean.
Yeah, they're both fantastic movies. I watched Batman Begins before we went to see Dark Knight Rises, and that's actually if you want to watch any movie before you go see The Dark Knight Rises, watch Batman Begins because there are more shout-outs, I guess you could say, to that movie than there were to the Dark Knight, which is I think I heard this is kind of weird. I heard like the Joker was supposed to have actually a really big part in The Dark Knight Rises, but after Heath Ledger died, I guess everything went awry for Christopher Nolan. So I guess that's where Bane came in, and I'm not sure if he was actually supposed to be in the movie, but I think it's kind of weird that they basically didn't talk about Joker at all in that movie. They didn't make like one mention of him. So anyway, go see that movie. It's really good. Next, I guess the Steam sales. I got a couple new games. Like Steam sales are long been done, I guess you could say. But I did pick up.
Been like a week.
Yeah, but I picked up Just Cause 2 for like $3. And finally, on the last day, which is what I was waiting for, Arma 2, Operation Arrowhead went down in price. I have the retail copy of Arma 2, so I bought Operation Arrowhead because I wanted to play DayZ. And my experience with DayZ so far has been fantastic. I have gotten together with except for, I guess you could say the setup process was absolutely awful.
Well, yeah, it's a mod.
Yeah, I mean, the mods are obviously not going to have perfect. It's not going to work perfectly, but like just getting into a game is a real hassle. I spent like 45 minutes today with my friends just trying to get into a game. I'm not even joking, like 45 minutes.
Well, it must be worth it.
It is, because we played like 2.5 hours straight after that. But I have some pretty cool DayZ stories. Okay, so I spawned in an area. The map is huge. It's a giant map that they use from Operation Arrowhead. And so there are vehicles in the game that are very rare to find. And I spawned, I walked up to a road, and I'm just walking, and I see a bus, and my friend is with me because he spawned really close to me. So we look at this bus, I'm like, oh, that's probably not a working bus. You can actually get parts in the game and actually make a working vehicle, but usually when the vehicles are out, they're not working. And I see this bus, and it's just sitting there, and my friend goes up to it, he's like, oh, wow, this is actually working. So we take this bus and we drive all around the whole map while my friend is just like typing on the chat pad, bus, 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 for anyone to, anyone can see in that vicinity, as if like we're going to make some allies. Nobody in that game is
No, they would just kill you and take the bus.
Yeah. But anyway, basically we went around the whole map, and then...
Your friend's an idiot.
Yeah, my friend's stupid. He's not very smart. He's actually I'd call him insane, but yeah, it's really cool to just be driving a bus around like this barren wasteland. But
like that's really weird to find a freaking bus just sitting around. But it's also not a very. I can't imagine that's a desirable vehicle. I mean, it's big, it's slow, it's
actually pretty good. I mean, as far as like it can take some bullets. Like we never like encountered anyone that was hostile while we were driving around. But like that thing, if they can kill you from outside the bus, but if they don't and the bus takes a bunch of hits, it'll be fine. But the thing is, I parked. Basically, my friends and I we were ready to stop, so we just went. I had this bright idea of hiding the bus somewhere, Back to the Future style, like behind some sign or something. And we went into the woods, and basically I parked it somewhere, like in the middle of some trees. And when you abort the game, when you come back, if you're on the same server and you come back, you'll spawn in the same area you stopped at. So the bus theoretically should be there. And when I came back a couple hours later just to check if it was still there, it was gone. So I go on Skype to message my friends. I'm like, dude, guys, the bus is gone. My friend comes back and he's like, guys, I found the bus. And then he was like, guys, I crashed the bus. Guys, the bus is on fire. So he basically ruined the bus for us, my one and only bus. And then that was my bus story. And then like today we just went around. We got together with all 5 of my friends 4 of my friends. We were 5 groups, 5 people in the group, and we just got together and just, we went around rummaging through everything. We all have weapons now, so when we go back into the game, we should all be stocked up, ready to take on anybody, because we're an army of 5 people at this point. So we'll see how long we can survive. But DayZ is really cool. I really recommend it to anyone who is really, like, if they're interested in that kind of game, I really recommend it. It's a unique experience.
Well, they're saying they might make it like a free-to-play standalone thing.
Yeah, I've heard about the standalone rumors, and I really hope that...
I hope they do.
It could be good as far as like it could run much smoother. They could really update it more.
Well,
but
and if
thing is, like,
free, then a lot more people would play. And
yeah. But I'm thinking like I'm wondering if the people who bought the version of Arma, like Operation Arrowhead and Combined Operations and stuff like that, I'm wondering if they would have to repurchase a standalone version, unless it is free to play, like you say. Like it could be free to play.
Well, I imagine they would keep the mod running or something of that nature.
Yeah, I guess.
But I can't imagine the mod would be as nice as a standalone client.
No, of course not. But I can't see that not happening, really. The standalone.
Because it's getting too popular. It's just
that game has gotten ridiculously popular.
I think that game's gotten more popular than Arma 2 was by itself.
Oh, I think that's no doubt. Like during the Steam sale, it was top 3.
Yeah,
and
Arma 2 was never like. I mean, that game is years old.
Yeah, and it was like 20% off or something.
Yep.
maybe not even. Like, it was still $20, $23, $24 before the sale, and it was still top 3.
Well, and I think when Arma 2 came out, it was not like in a #1 spot on Steam, and then
yeah, I mean, that's a niche game. That is a super sim-like shooter. That is, people who like Sims, really, simulation games, really. Those are the people who bought that game. So, the fact that DayZ shot it up this much as far as popularity is pretty crazy for a fan-made mod. But yeah, that's DayZ. That's been pretty fun. I also had a couple days where I was just absolutely addicted to Civilization 5. I've since stopped, but the first 2 days I was playing, I played like 5 hours each day.
Yeah, you were getting...
And I don't do that with video games. I don't play like more than 2 hours at a time. I just can't. Like I lose interest usually. But for Civ 5, for some reason, I couldn't stop. I was playing as the Persians, and I'm destroying everybody because I'm a pro. And right now, as I stopped playing, I have nukes, just like in real life. No, but yeah, Civ 5 is pretty fun. I beat Metro 2033 as well. That game is fantastic. If there wasn't some like nagging issues, that game would be like as close to a masterpiece as you can get for me. Like, the story was great. I guess I'm saying too much really, as far as like, I don't think it was that good so it's not like really breaking my top 25, but as far as my favorite games of all time, but it was a really, really good game. I can't wait for Last Light. And another game I beat was Rhythm Thief, which is a rhythm adventure game by Sega, if you haven't heard about it, on the 3DS. And that game's pretty fun too. As far as rhythm games go, the most recent one that came out that I can compare is Theater Rhythm on the 3DS, Final Fantasy. I think Theater Rhythm is a better game, but I like Rhythm Thief more overall because of the story, and there's a little more variety, but the main gameplay, as far as the rhythm gameplay, is better in Theater Rhythm, in my opinion.
So you like Rhythm Thief more as a game, but as the overall package, you like Theater Rhythm more? Or?
Yeah, and I think the gameplay is more solid. Like, there's some rhythm games in Rhythm Thief that are frankly just not good, that use the gyro, and it's just not very...
Trust me, I know. We'll get to that in a second, but I've been using lately. I've been using the gyro quite a bit in some games.
Yeah, but
not a good control method at all.
But Rhythm Thief does have, like, the art style is really good, and it has a Professor Layton-like aesthetic to it. You're basically, the adventure portion is just like Professor Layton, except instead of puzzles, you have rhythm games. And the animation's really fantastic. The story's good, not as good as Professor Layton's stories, but it's decent. And most of the rhythm games are cool. There's actually one, you've seen screenshots of it, like, that's Samba de Amigo, but the music is actually from Feel the Magic, which I thought was really cool. And that was one of my favorite rhythm games. It was like Samba de Amigo style with Feel the Magic music. So Rhythm Thief is really good if you guys want to buy it for 3DS. It's only $30 retail, so definitely try that out. They hinted at a sequel at the end of the game. Like,
yeah, that's not happening.
Seems like there's a lead into a sequel, but yeah, that's like 0% chance of happening at this point. That game's gonna sell.
It could happen on maybe like for I don't know, maybe mobile platforms, but
yeah, but that
I don't know if they would
even
bother, because like it's just.
I'd honestly be surprised if that sold more than like 10,000 units.
Oh, dude, it definitely sold more than that, but I mean...
In the U.S., I don't know.
It was pushed really hard in Europe, and Nintendo was the distributor, and they marketed it, and it still did bad. Like, there just wasn't interest in the game.
there's I don't know. Maybe they'll find some kind of market here, but
No, if it didn't find a market in Europe, then it won't find a market here. I think it did okay in Japan. That's about it.
I don't even know if it did go okay there. Like, I know it got on the charts 1 week.
Yeah, I think it got on, but that's better than it did anywhere else.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, that was that. That's all the games I've basically played. And today, I'm kind of glad I postponed this podcast by a day, because I go to garage sales with my friends every couple weeks. It's been something we've been doing for the past few years. And I've never really found anything too amazing. I've always found a few games here and there that are okay. But today was the day that I finally scored on something. And if you guys go out to garage sales, my advice to you is always ask people if they have any video games they're willing to sell, because none of the garage sales I went to today had video games like displayed to sell. Every single one I went to, almost every single one I went to, I asked, and most of them came out with something that I could purchase. I didn't buy everything they brought out, but they had video games, and the one I went to where I scored on, it was amazing. So I asked this lady if they had any old video games like Super Nintendo, Sega, anything like that. And this guy goes into the house and he brings out a Super Nintendo.
Old people?
They weren't really old. I think they had kids that are like in their 20s probably. Maybe
middle-aged.
Yeah. But yeah, the system was probably their kids. And they come out with Super Nintendo in a bag. I look inside the bag. There's a few games in there, but I notice Chrono Trigger's in there. Right when I see Chrono Trigger, I just close up the bag. I don't look into it at all, and I'm like, how much do you want for it? The guy says, like, what do you give me? And I'm like, I don't want to lowball the guy, you know? Like, and I don't really feel, except I want to get the best deal possible. I don't want to seem like I'm asking too little, but I don't want to ask too much either. So I said $20 for the whole thing. And
that is a low ball, though. See?
Well, it is a low ball, but I think it's a value that, you know, if you went like 10, they'd probably be like, oh, that's pretty low. That's a pretty low offer. But, you know, I think 20 is that price point with a lot of old stuff where people are like, you know, I'd take $20 for something. And, you know, he said, sure, I'll take $20. And I get back in the car, I look inside the bag. It has a nice Super Nintendo, like, looks brand new condition, no yellowing or anything like that. I take out Chrono Trigger. I look inside, I flip over one of the games. It's Mega Man X2. Anybody who's a video game collector or anything, or knows anything about Super Nintendo right now, knows Mega Man X2 is extremely rare to find, especially in the wild. And they go for like $50 to $60+ on eBay. So that was amazing. And then there was more. There was Secret of Mana, right there, $30 game, $30 to $40 game. Super Mario All-Stars, which I have already, but you know that's also a $15 game. Kirby Superstar, which is another fantastic game for like that's a $35 to $40 game. Super Metroid, also a $30 game. So yeah, like that whole lot is worth, I think, over $200, and I got it for $20.
My pro tip for people who want to know things about the garage sales, I don't have a pro tip, but, well, actually I do, but I don't want to give it out, so there you go. I have a couple pro tips.
Well, that was useless.
Yeah. I want people to know that I know things, and I don't want them to know them.
Well, how many people live in?
Okay, that's true. Know your watch brands. Seriously. Like, if you want to make money off of shit you find at garage sales, watches are number one, because people get gifts, like they get watches as gifts all the fucking time, and they don't know what they're worth.
Yeah.
Like I can't tell you how much money I've made off of reselling watches, or like people, just like even if it's in bad shape. I mean, like depending on the brand, if you know the brand well, then even if it's in bad shape, you can still resell the watch for a variety of things. Like, I mean, you can resell them for parts if they're a higher end watch. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do with them. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was with my dad and we found a $150 watch for $2.
Wow.
So I mean, and like when we went home and checked eBay, it was like $90
Yeah.
used. So I mean, it was like that's a huge increase.
A big profit.
Yeah, big one.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with what I said though. Like, if you want video games,
I do agree with that actually.
Always ask if they have video games because, like I said, nobody had them out, and like one lady actually, she brought out a couple sealed Sega Master System games, but I didn't buy those because they were sports games, and I don't have a Master System, and she was asking $5. I don't know how much they're worth. I don't know much about Sega Master System games as far as their prices.
I would have I would have counter-offered at like $3 a piece and then bought them because any game that's sealed from that era, regardless of what it is going to be worth more than that.
I don't know if it was resealed because I'm not sure how the packages were back then, like how they sealed the stuff. But
Yeah, it could have been resealed.
It seemed kind of legit, but I gave it back to her like, $5 is too much. I don't want to pay that much. And usually people counter offer, like they say, okay, I'll sell it to you for a little bit lower than that. But she didn't say that. She just took them back. She was like, okay. And I didn't need those. But I also got like 3 PS1 games for $5 total. Not much other than that, but it was easily probably the best day of garage selling I've had. Since the first time I went with my mom, that I really got into garage sales, I got a complete in-box 32X for $1, and a Sega Genesis with a few games for $3 more.
I still remember the time that you came back and told me about that.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing for $1 to get a complete 32X.
I used to be bigger on garage sales than I am now. I still like them though.
The funniest part about that 32X was that it had it actually had a sticker on it from where he bought it from, and it was like $2.99 or $3.99 or something. I can't imagine somebody going to a store back then, buying a 32X for that much, and they're probably disappointed in it. So much money to spend, especially back then, for an add-on like
with
that.
32 games.
Yeah. And the only game they had when I bought that was Virtua Racing, which that's a good game for the 32X, but
it's like one of the only good games for the 32X.
Yeah, but other than that, they had nothing. So they probably just spent the cash on those things and never played it again. So that's my story for these past few days. What's up with you?
I'll just start with the smaller stuff. I bought. Let's see what I bought. I bought. Mirror's Edge, Doctor Who Cloned Me, Saints Row the Third. Those Doctor Who Cloned Me and Saints Row the Third are the only 2 things I purchased from summer sales that I didn't mention last episode.
Yeah.
I also bought Choo Choo Rocket on Android, and I played the Orcs Must Die 2 demo. So in terms of Doctor Who Cloned Me, I really can't say too much about it because I only played like 10 minutes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 10-hour campaign. I got it for $2.50, so I'm okay with that. So even though it's DLC, it's significant DLC because it was actually a portion of the campaign that Gearbox didn't have enough time to touch up, so they had to cut it.
Yeah.
And so far, from reviews I've read, it's supposedly a little bit better than the main campaign, which isn't exactly setting the bar very high. And people are probably wondering, why'd you buy Duke Nukem Forever DLC? Actually, because I kind of like Duke Nukem Forever. It's not a great game by any means, and I couldn't, I couldn't recommend it to anybody. But if you ever see it cheap or whatever, and you had any interest in it, I think at the very least it's interesting as a museum of dated design concepts, and that's the worst case. The best case is that you'll find some aspects of the game mildly enjoyable like I did.
Yeah. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure for you, it seems.
I would say it's probably my most. I'm not so guilty actually. I'm kind of I'm about the game because it's really. It did get an unfair rap because of the weight, but it is a bad game. I'm just saying that there are games that have been as bad as Duke Nukem Forever or worse than Duke Nukem Forever and not been as reviled and hated. It's just that Duke Nukem Forever was such a high-profile release that then to have it fail after so many people were so hyped up about it for years and years and years. With that being said, honestly, this is going to piss some people off. Duke Nukem Forever is, in my opinion, a better game than Duke Nukem 3D, and that's going to piss. I think Richard is finally starting to listen to this podcast. He's going to turn that off. He's going to turn it off as soon as he hears that.
Well, I think the reason I don't know. This is just an assumption. I think a lot of people just don't really like the character of Duke Nukem anymore. I think back in the day it was. I think it was.
I think it's even more heated now because I think if we were 5 years ago and Duke Nukem Forever came out on Xbox and PC and whatever,
yeah,
I think it would have been better received. I think part of it is honestly, all this controversy now about how women are handled in video games and feminists and whatnot. And, I think that we've got all these games journalists now who are taking it up in every single game they play. I was reading, I've noticed that. I've been reading, I was reading some review, and he brought sexism up out of nowhere in a game that just didn't look sexist at all to me, and it was IGN or something like that, or GameSpot. It was one of the major sites, and they're just doing it because it's the hot thing to do.
Yeah.
But regardless, I didn't get too far into it, so. Can't say much yet. Saints Row the Third has really actually surprised me. I paid $10 for it on Amazon, registered it on Steam. I usually hate open world. I think Naveed does too.
I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either. And
Daisy's kind of open world though, so I mean it's a large map,
but the focus is on survival.
And when you're with your friends, I guess it's a lot
different.
Better. Yeah.
But and I hate the most popular implementation of open world that we see in Grand Theft Auto, where it's a large, dead world.
And a lot of the stuff I don't like with open world games, it usually has a mission based system, and for some reason I'm not a huge fan of those. The types of missions that are in those games are just not that fun for me.
No, they're fetch quests. But so there's been some open world games that I have liked where they've correctly done an open world. I always use Shenmue and Shenmue 2 as examples of correct open worlds. They are small and focused and vibrant, but you still can do whatever you want in them. That's how an open world should be. And I still think the best open world that Rockstar's actually done is their smallest in Bully. And I also think Warriors was pretty good. That's actually my favorite Rockstar game, is with the Warriors. Red Dead Redemption had a good open world, but the only reason I found it bearable about halfway through the game is I quit traversing by foot and horseback and just started to use quick travels.
And I mean, open world stuff is usually I have fun in those games because you can do a lot of whatever you want almost. In even some even in Grand Theft Auto, even though I don't really like the game, there's stuff to do in that that's not actually part of the main game. That's fun. Just like in Just Cause 2, you can just go around anywhere and do whatever you want, basically, which is, I guess that's why a lot of people do enjoy a lot of those types of games.
I mean, the problem with them is, yeah, I can screw around in Grand Theft Auto and get some enjoyment out of it, but the game still sucks. It's just a crap game. That's, I don't know, but Just Cause 2 is a game where I feel it's more conducive to screwing around, and that's really the only good thing about Just Cause 2, because the missions are just terrible. Saints Row the Third, though, is basically like exactly what GTA should have been. Like it's over the top.
Game that like doesn't take itself seriously
Doesn't
at
take
all.
itself seriously. It's the world isn't very great.
I think that's
world,
what like the PS2 GTA games were like. They were more along those lines of like not really as.
I agree with that, but those games suck too, in my opinion. But like it's just like it's like Saints Row the Third. It's like the missions are really good. Like they have some strong set pieces. Like they maybe have some of the strongest set pieces I've seen in an open world game since Shenmue or Shenmue 2 or Red Dead Redemption. Those games are like in my view, the kingpins of set pieces inside of an open world. Because like Grand Theft Auto has really poor set pieces. Mafia 2 has some decent set pieces too, but Mafia 2 has a terrible open world. Like it's just like so dead, but the game itself, the storyline is good enough to carry the game. So if you just follow the storyline through Mafia 2, it ends up being pretty good. And also the cars are really radical since they're from the 40s or 50s. In terms of games that I finished Mirror's Edge, and I finished Portal 2, single player, finally, which I bought Portal 2 like half a year ago.
Yeah.
So, Portal 2 was amazing. Really amazing game. And me and Naveed are now working on the co-op campaign together.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. I think we're on like 6 or 8 of 19 test chambers. But, yeah, I took a long break from Portal 2. I went back to it. I got to say the final boss fight's not so great, but overall, just cleverly done, fantastic storyline and presentation, some of the best writing I've ever seen in a video game, if not the best.
Yeah, Wheatley's just an amazing character.
Yeah, and like Cave Johnson and GLaDOS, of course, but and then ending it, I can't bring that up, but they end it in an extremely classy manner. I don't think I've ever seen such a classy ending.
Mhm.
I can't say it. Damn. But it shocked me actually, the ending. Like because I didn't know how it ended, and the ending to the boss fight was hilarious, but the ending to the actual like credits, like the credit cutscene, was very classily done. And overall, the gameplay was great. I think that it started too slow, though. I still think the game started too slow, but overall, definite masterpiece. Valve is at this point maybe my favorite developer in the entire industry. They just so good.
That was my second favorite game of 2011.
Yeah, I mean this Portal 2, Team Fortress 2, in my opinion, some of the best games of all time, right there. I mean, absolutely fantastic, and I mean, the Half-Life 2 games aren't that bad either, and neither are the original Half-Lives. I'm not giant on them, but they're fairly good. And then the Mirror's Edge, I bought that for $5, finished it. Relatively shorter game, but overall, I liked Mirror's Edge 2. It really needs to move away from the combat, though, because like there's some parts with the combat where it's like I don't know, and it could also do with more branching paths.
Yeah, that'd be actually a lot. That'd be something really cool. It is kind of a linear game.
It's linear. They convince you that it's open world. Like you don't really notice, but I mean, like when the combat scenarios would pop up, I'd be like, like it'd be really cool if they would make it so that like instead of because like they kind of tried to make it sometimes with the combat so that you could run past the enemies.
Yeah. And
it works well, but then other times, like when you're towards the end of the game, it'll just be like these tight areas where you really can't run from them, so you have to disarm all of them. And like like the parking garage is kind of a pain in the ass to like run past them and stuff. Like I managed to do it, but it took me a few tries to actually run past them, and I used the exact same route every single time.
I don't really remember really having that much problem with the combat. Like, as far as disarming, I thought the actual, if you wanted to shoot someone, it was.
Oh, the gunplay was terrible.
Yeah, the gunplay wasn't that good, but I thought the actual like disarming part of that stuff, I didn't really have that much of a problem with it. I think I remember one part though that I was stuck.
There were a couple parts where I got stuck and like had to keep retrying things because I kept on not wanting to pick up a gun and shoot people, and eventually I would just get tired of it and pick up a gun and shoot people.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I did that too, but
it was just like, but that's not the way I wanted to play the game, because the fun part of the game is like Portal. Like one of the reasons Portal 2 and Portal 1 are so refreshing is there's no combat. Like really, and the combat that does exist in very small amounts is so different than everything else. So it's like, that's what I want from Mirror's Edge. Like, I would like to see in a sequel, instead of having you run past the enemies, it would be cool if maybe they would make it so that you had branching paths that allowed you to forego them entirely.
That'd be something really cool they could do for a sequel. I agree. Branching paths would be really, really a cool thing. That would also, if it was different enough, it could have more. It could add more replayability to that game.
And actually, my favorite part of Mirror's Edge was probably, even though I screwed around with it very little because it required an EA account to upload your scores and compare your scores to other people, was the time trial mode. That's pretty neat, but because that's the fun part of the game. Like, that's the fun part of the game for me is getting up to maximum speeds, being as efficient as possible to climb through areas and run through areas.
Some of the stuff, I didn't really play a time trial much, but when you mentioned it the one time, I did the first level, and it brought to my attention something that was like it didn't hang on, like it didn't. Faith never grabbed onto something every time when I wanted her to. Like,
no, yeah, there's weird things with like how she grabs onto stuff. Like, I noticed in the single player, I was really annoyed because I would jump towards a ladder or a pole, and I'd be like looking at it straight, like I'd be looking right at it, but because I was coming at it from an angle, I could run into it and she wouldn't grab onto it.
Yeah, and like in the time trial that I'm talking about, like I was running up and I was taking a different path, and like it was a faster path, and basically I'm running up and there's like a rail that you can grab onto, and I'm just running straight up to it. And a couple times she would grab on, but sometimes she wouldn't, and sometimes she will, and you know it was really inconsistent. I didn't really understand why.
There's playing Mirror's Edge this late in the game. First of all, I originally had it on PS3. I would not recommend playing this game with a dual analog. It's just not. I think it needs the speed of a mouse to be played effectively, but there's just some problems with the game, and like the enemy animations are really crappy too. Like, I'm not sure if you remember that, but like later on in the game, there's some enemies that run really fast, and their animations are horrible. Like,
yeah, I don't really remember.
Jarring how bad they are. Other news: Orcs Must Die 2 demo is pretty damn good. I'm not a fan of the tower defense genre really, but Orcs Must Die 2 is a little bit different. It's like it's like tower defense a little bit, but you have a character and you also help kill off the orcs, and it was a really freaking good demo. That's on Steam. You should download it. I was surprised by how fun the demo was. And then I finally got a smartphone. It runs Gingerbread. It's a Samsung phone, but not much news there because I don't really use it for gaming because I don't game on my phone. And then I got a Nexus 7, which I have played a couple of games on. And I know this show is called Real Buttons, okay? I know. I'll be the first to say, Naveed will back me up on this, that this platform is not appropriate for the majority of genres. There are a handful, I repeat, a handful of games that work okay with touch interfaces. Chiefly like point-and-click adventures. I think strategy games work fine with it if they're simplistic enough, or strategy RPGs like turn-based. So far, I've been pretty impressed with the Nexus 7, though. I mean, like that's some pretty powerful hardware for the price point. I'm not sure if you've taken a look at it, Naveed, have you?
Yeah, I've actually watched. I actually watched a review of it on YouTube.
I mean, the thing is basically being sold at cost.
Yeah, I mean it's really cheap for what you get.
It's got a Tegra 3 in it. It's got 1 gig of RAM.
It's obviously priced to compete with the Kindle Fire.
It's priced to compete with the Kindle Fire, and its specs blow it absolutely out of the water. And the reason it's being sold pretty much at cost, I saw an estimate. They're being sold, the cost to manufacture the 8 gigabyte unit is, at that price point, Asus is only making $17, but then they have to ship it still. Yeah. So there's basically Asus is taking pretty much all of the money from this, if there is any, which there probably isn't much.
Asus really makes the best like tablets and stuff like that.
Asus makes the best everything pretty much at this point.
They have the Transformer Prime and stuff like that for like bigger tablets, and those are like by far the best tablets.
Well, they make, in my opinion, Asus makes the best laptops too. I think their laptop line is, they've got those bamboo laptops that are just freaking amazing.
Yeah, my two friends have a couple Asus laptops. They don't really take good care of it, so it's not exactly in good shape.
I would say that the only laptops that I would consider within like the realm of Asus's like hardware is like the Lenovo ThinkPads, but otherwise
the ThinkPads are like a rock though. Those things like
they're not as stylish as the Asus units.
Yeah, no, those are built to last, and
but they're
nice,
good.
They're good
nice
computers.
Laptops.
Yeah.
The Asus laptops probably aren't as durable, but they're certainly a hell of a lot better looking.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I kind of like the look of ThinkPads. They're like, it's just...
Have you seen the freaking Asus Bamboo laptops? Those things are amazing, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're freaking amazing. Like, if I had the dough for one of those, I would lay it down in a second. But overall, Nexus 7, been pretty pleased with it. I did not get it for gaming, really. I got it for books and watching Netflix in bed and being able to video chat with my girlfriend while not being tied to my desktop or my laptop so that I could carry it throughout the house. Overall, the screen quality is really good. Everything about it's really good. I am selling my 3DS to pay for it, but so now you're probably thinking, okay, so why are you selling your 3DS? There's a number of reasons I'm selling my 3DS. None of it has to do with its library, though. 3DS has a good library, and it is a solid gaming system. I think that the first unit was kind of half-baked, and I think Nintendo...
No, that's true. That's like not even...
I thought you were going to disagree with me on that.
No, it's...
At this point, just wait for the XL.
It's almost like a given. Every first iteration of Nintendo's...
I'm never buying first Nintendo handheld hardware ever again if I ever get another Nintendo handheld, because it just... It's gotten to this point where like oh, the hinge is slightly loose, oh, like, you know, like it feels cheap, oh, it's too small. It's like, I don't know, it's just like, and with the DS, like the screen wasn't bright enough. And
at this point I'm pretty excited for the XL though. That the impressions from that people have been given have been really, really positive.
But and the battery life being 3 hours is kind of nuts.
Well,
but
that's not really something they can handle with battery technology these days.
Nexus gets 9 hours.
That probably has a much larger battery.
Yeah, it probably does, but I'm just saying, I think that they could have gotten more out of the 3DS, considering it's also the hardware is, you know, requires a lot of
They could have gotten a higher capacity, but that would also drain, like, the more you charge it, the more...
How much is the XL getting in battery life?
The battery, I think you were with... It depends on the game, but I think it's like around 5 to 6 hours with 3DS games. Better. 6 to 10 hours with DS.
Yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah. So I mean, 3DS. The other thing that happened with it was Nintendo refused to fix the dead pixel. Basically, like they like it just the stuck pixel. Like it's just never been fixed, and I've sent it in so many times, and I'm just tired of dealing with it. And I'm pretty anal retentive, and I can't get past it. So there's that. And then there's also my price limit that I'm willing to pay for games. I have like one 3DS game because they just never hit my price tags. So that's why I'm selling it. And then I'll probably, admittedly, use the Nexus as a substitute for mobile gaming. Because the other reality is I don't do much mobile gaming. I'm a PC gamer. I play on PC. That's where 90% of my time is spent. And even though Android has a even though it's not a good, doesn't really have a good interface for controlling games. I mean, you can hook up a PS3 controller to it and whatnot and have better controls, but it works well enough for some genres that it'll be able to suffice as my mobile gaming platform. Like, I mean, it'll work fine for RPGs and things of that nature where precise controls are not required. I tried to play a racing game on it and it was just terrible. That's what I mentioned, gyroscopes earlier. It's just like the games, like they make it so that when you run into the wall, you just bounce back off because the controls are so imprecise that like there's no challenge.
Yeah.
And like I was watching a video of a guy online playing it with one of the more popular Android racing games, like Riptide, I think, with a PS3 controller. And like he was just getting first like every single time because the game is designed around terrible controls.
That reminds me like that one. Have you seen that one video for Connect Joyride, where the guy is just sitting there and he doesn't move at all? He keeps his hands right in front of him. He doesn't move. You see the car in the actual game. It's just going straight, and it's like auto. It's almost auto moving because they basically know the Connect cannot recognize the movements well enough.
Yeah. So the main game I've been playing on the Nexus is I've been playing Choo Choo Rocket, which is 99 cents, and that actually works really good on the touch interface. I wouldn't recommend it for a phone because it'd be too small. The way that it works, though, is I actually think it's better than the Dreamcast controls. On Dreamcast, you moved with the D-pad, selected what you wanted, and then chose the direction with the A, B, X, Y buttons. And that was okay, I guess, but this is better. You click a square, and then you just swipe the direction you want the square to go. And it's a lot more intuitive and, I think, faster than Dreamcast. It does lack some of the features of the Dreamcast version. It does not have online play, and it doesn't have, which the Dreamcast version doesn't anymore anyways, and it doesn't have create your own levels. That's kind of a bummer, and the lack of an online play is just stupid. It's another example of Sega not getting it right now. Like Choo Choo Rocket should have been a game that came out on Xbox Live Arcade, PSN, Steam with online play, slap a $10 price tag on it, and call it done.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, time for news, folks.
Rumors.
Sonic Adventure 3 may or may not be happening. 6 domain names were registered. Recently, Takashi Iizuka kind of implied that it might happen at Sonic Boom. Not much else to say there. We'll keep you updated.
I'd be pretty excited for that.
You would?
Yeah, because I like the well, I haven't really played much of Sonic Adventure, the first one, because I didn't really like what I played of it, like the first few, but I liked Sonic Adventure 2.
I like both of them
weird.
for the most part, but
yeah. Just as long as they keep that Knuckles crap out of it.
So then the other piece of news we have is Vigil, the developers behind Darksiders 1 and 2, Joe Madureira's studio, is looking for first-person shooter developers. So it sounds like they might be working on a first-person shooter, which is kind of meh.
A bummer.
Well, yeah, because it's just like the Darksiders games are pretty neat.
Who knows? They may do something, or maybe they'll copy something. I don't know. They could do something unique.
The next piece of now we're heading into actual news.
Yeah,
confirmed
those are just
stuff.
the 2 quick rumors we had.
Ouya's first exclusive has been confirmed. It's a prequel to Robert Bowling's Human Element, which I think Human Element is an Android game, isn't it? Or is it?
No, I think he said that's a console game. But it's really funny because it's supposed to come out in 2015, and he announced it like months ago.
Well, yeah.
So it's such a weird time to like announce a game like that far back. But these are supposedly like prequels to that game, and I think it's episodic.
Yeah, it's going to be episodic, and it's going to be exclusive to Ouya, which I doubt is going to last. It'll definitely make it to like iPad or general Android platforms.
I can't see that happening.
Because Ouya, I don't think Ouya is going to be like a big deal when it lands amongst the general public. And even if it is, piracy is going to be so massive on it.
Yep.
I mean, we just heard about that thing on Dead Trigger or whatever, this Android game where the piracy rate was like 10 to 1.
Yeah. That's actually kind of depressing almost.
Well, that's been that way on Android a really long time, though. Like, I remember...
But actually hearing about it, Yeah.
Well, we heard about it from devs like a couple of years ago when they were saying like 9-1 and 7-1.
Mhm.
So it's increased, which isn't surprising.
Yeah.
Ouya is also getting streaming via OnLive. Don't really care. Not
Yeah.
my
So basically, like you're gonna have to have a subscription to that. So.
I don't think you have to have I don't think you have to have a subscription on Live anymore. I think they dropped it. It's just that I'm not interested in cloud gaming.
Do you really not? Like, what? How do you play? Do you just purchase the games then?
Yeah,
separately?
you just purchase them.
Okay. I thought you had a subscription. I don't know. I never really
Who cares?
knew much about OnLive, but yeah, cloud gaming is not really the best right now.
It doesn't even matter. I don't even care when it does get the best. I don't like the idea of having my games stored on, I don't get why people are excited about this. Like, you want more closed gardens? How about this?
Well, there's a reason why OnLive hasn't been, extremely popular.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and same with Gaikai. But I don't know. I mean, I guess
for
the
demos
mainstream
and stuff,
gamer
it's
might
great.
go for it. But, I don't get why PC gamers, there's some PC gamers who are touting, oh, that's the future. I think you're missing the point of the entire thing about, PC gaming being, an open market and us having control, and that's why we like the PC platform.
Which we have a story that we'll get to that kind of relates to that.
Well, anyways, but it's just it's like these people claiming that mobile gaming is the future. Listen, after having spent some time on the Nexus 7, as nice as it is for things like reading books and watching movies and reading RSS feeds, it is not at all. It's it's an inferior gaming platform to the 3DS. It just is. So, anyways, let's see. Next piece of news is Warface, Crytek's successful FPS that's basically like COD, and it has 1 million players already in Russia. That was when it first launched. It's probably got more by now. It's headed west. It's going to be published by Tryon Worlds. It'll be headed to North America, Europe, Turkey, Australia, and New Zealand through GFace, Crytek's social gaming network. And the Tryon platform. Oh, and it's actually got I checked. It's got 2 million registered users in Russia now.
Wow.
And it's Crytek's entry into the free-to-play arena,
which they've said they will be basically.
Yeah, that's what they're going for next gen.
Going into, yeah.
They said the development costs are somewhere between 20 to 30 million for Warface. Supposedly, it's been a smash success for them, though. So yeah.
That's that. Next is Ice Pick Lodge. Just started a Kickstarter for this game called Knock Knock. Is it Knock Knock? Who's there? It's just Knock Knock. But these are the developers who made The Void. You might know about that game. They're a small indie developer
in Russia.
And they make really weird games. Like The Void, if anyone's played it, I haven't played it myself, but what I've seen of it seems really off the wall and pretty odd. And
they also made Cargo, which is this game that's basically like Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts, but with dwarves that are naked.
Yeah, in this game they also made another game called Pathologic. I don't really know much about that game, but basically they started Kickstarter for this game, Knock Knock. It should be another weird game, and it
looks like their most accessible game yet, but that's not saying much.
Yeah, and the funny thing is the rewards for the Kickstarter are pretty cool because when you pay $47, if anyone wants to actually help them out, if you pay $47, the reward is a mystery. So it's kind of cool. Your $100 gets you a special tree in a forest, which will be deemed your surrogate. While $1,000 lets you add your best scary stories into the in-game journal. So kind of cool rewards for if you donate, some stuff. But that's that.
Next piece of news is Devil's Third is re-announced. So this is Itagaki's game from Valhalla.
We reported
THQ dropped this.
Ago. Yeah,
THQ dropped it. They initially attempted to sell it, but nobody wanted it, so they just returned the rights to Itagaki. He found a new publisher called Dubik. I think that's how it's pronounced. D-O-O-B-I-C. The only other new announcement out of this is a PC version was confirmed, which I'm kind of stoked about, and then a tablet version was confirmed. I'm like, how the hell is that going to work? But whatever.
No, I don't know.
And that's that.
That's it for Devil's Third. Yeah. We talked about this last week. Battlefield 4 was part of the rumors.
Yeah, it was rumored.
And basically, Battlefield 4 was just confirmed by DICE. And yeah, Battlefield 4 is coming out most likely next year, holiday. You know, that's the speculation. Not much else to say about that piece of news.
And then Runic Games explains Torchlight 2 delay. Basically, they're still aiming for a summer release, which they're quickly running out of time and patience, but amongst the gaming community, because we've been waiting for this way too long. But the good news is Diablo 3 was less than well received, so there's room in the market for them.
Yeah.
But basically, they're still aiming for a summer release. At this point, they're taking suggestions out of their user base. Initially, what we heard from people who were playing Torchlight 2 is the skill trees were less than good, and less than exciting. And so Runic apparently took that to heart, and they've rebuilt some of this. They've done a lot of work on the skill trees and skill changes to try and fix that before release. So that's actually a good good reason for delaying. But yeah.
Yeah. This is I don't know what the hell is going up with Vancouver, but I don't know, their video game stuff has just been going down the drain lately. Like Rockstar?
Vancouver, yeah.
Rockstar moved their Vancouver team to Toronto, and there was another studio, I forget that. Do you remember? I think there was another studio that from Vancouver.
I think Disney had a studio up there, or WB, and they closed it.
But now Microsoft has laid off a few workers from their Vancouver studio, which is most notably known for making the new Flight game, which was free to play
and not very well received.
And yeah, not really. And now they're opening a new London studio as well, which will apparently be focusing more on free to play stuff as well as like online casual experiences. So once again, Microsoft probably moving into that realm of casual, not good stuff.
Yep. As per usual, that's been their agenda.
And another really layoff news type thing is Warner Brothers in Seattle has laid off a few of their employees, sadly, and these are the guys that are currently working on a Lord of the Rings game, Guardians of the Middle-earth, and it's unclear if any other projects are currently under production there, but we do know that they had laid off a few of their staff, so that's that.
So next piece of news is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater has done pretty well, not as well as Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, which did 300K, but Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD has earned 120K during its first week on Xbox Live Arcade. The game is eventually coming to PSN and PC in August, I think on the same day, like the August 28th or something like that.
Yeah, it had exclusivity with Xbox Live for their Summer of Arcade thing, and like it hasn't gotten a review well because of the there's just like not that much content in it.
Yeah, the game's clearly heavily reliant on future DLC.
Yeah, for sure, and they've announced stuff.
Which I was interested in it, and then once the reviews came out and there was like not much content, like I was like, oh fuck that.
Yeah, I mean they're obvious. They've come out and said like Pro Skater 3 stuff is going to be DLC and all that, but they just done their whole like the lineup they have as far as like the stages and stuff. It's like from 1 and 2, but it's not that much. Like it barely has anything from those games, so it's a shame.
Next piece
really.
of news is about yet again me wondering how THQ has made it this long, because as much as I like their games, the numbers that they need to break even on their shit is just nuts. How much was it for South Park? $1 million? $2 million?
$2 million.
2 million units. But
Units, yes.
Yeah, okay, so now Darksiders 3 depends on Darksiders 2 sales, so that's already been known for quite a while. It could be smaller in scope. Personally, I'm glad, because Darksiders 2 sounds way too large. But basically, the numbers the THQ would need to sell of Darksiders 2 to get Darksiders 3, this is new, because we've never heard the numbers they were looking for. If Darksiders 2 manages to sell 4 or 5 million units, THQ president Jason Rubin would likely want a sequel, though we might expect Visual to reduce the scope so that we can make it even higher polished.
To give some perspective on that, their highest rated game,
their highest selling game, and
their most successful game is Saints Row the Third, and that's shipped, not even sold, 4.25 million units in 7 months.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not going to work for them if this is going to keep up. They're doomed.
I mean, who knows what they need to actually make a profit on Darksiders 2, but to actually, if 4 to 5 million units warrants a sequel, that's kind of setting the bar pretty damn high.
Not many games can do 4 or 5 million units.
No, it's like...
Darksiders 1 did 1 million units, I think, 1 to 1.5.
Yeah, I don't...
The last official figure we had was 1 million, but it's certainly sold a lot more than since then, because it's been marked down pretty heavily on PC, but...
Yep. So, next piece of news is that Polytron, who is the developer of Fez, they recently patched their game, and this patch had a bug in it for some people that would completely delete their save file. I think it was for people mostly that were actually further into the game, but we talked about that, and we speculated that they wouldn't really have any problem repatching it again because Microsoft publishing it. Yeah.
Nope.
But now,
nope.
Polytron has come out and said basically, nope, we are not going to patch the patch, and they came out with this letter saying why, and basically it's because they say that Microsoft would charge them tens of thousands of dollars to recertify the game, which is pretty nuts, honestly, in my opinion. I mean, the way they went about announcing this stuff is it's kind of dickish.
They dropped the ball. Like this developer, freaking Polytron and Phil Fish, they have dropped the ball so many countless times, and I'm just they've just made, in my opinion, the most PR disasters I've ever seen from an indie developer, hands down. It's just he's got such a cocky attitude. He clearly learned nothing after the Japanese incident because he completely mishandled this incident. If for people who don't remember or didn't follow it, originally Fez was a PC exclusive. The game has been in development for 4 years or some shit. And originally it was a PC game. Then he got exclusivity with Microsoft, and he canceled the PC version. And when he was asked in an interview why the PC version was canceled, he didn't mention the Microsoft exclusivity. He said that the game needed to be played on a couch with a controller on a big screen television. So, okay, I don't have a problem with that. If that's the way he wants to present his game, go ahead and do that. Enjoy the lower sales you're going to get on Xbox Live Arcade than PC, but whatever. Your prerogative. Well, now he releases this letter, and the first thing he does is bitch about how he's not on Steam. That's literally the first thing he does in the letter.
I think he made a Twitter post that said our exclusivity with Microsoft only lasts a few more months or something like that. and then we'll be on Steam soon or something like that.
Yeah, but in the letter he also said if we were on Steam we wouldn't have to pay to patch.
Yeah.
So basically what he's done is he's taken money from Microsoft for exclusivity, bitched about how the PC isn't the right fit for the platform, and then bitched when he got on to Microsoft's Xbox Live Arcade service and wasn't on PC like everybody told him he should be and like he was originally going to be. So, like, I mean, the guy's just a fucking douchebag. He's just an idiot.
The thing is, Phil Fish is kind of, he is a douche, but I really, really do respect the game. Fez is a pretty...
I'm sure it's good, but
Fez is a really, I think it's a pretty damn good experience. And
the dude he just doesn't get it. Like, yeah. I mean, he's just dumb.
But his game is good. Well, I'll give him that.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, there were like 6 people involved in Fez total.
Yeah.
And he was only one of them. But he's also the person who's become the public face of Polytron and handled all of their PR.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a public nightmare for them. Like, I mean, it's just been disaster after disaster after disaster about how rude he is, about the way he conducts himself.
Dissing.
Like, I mean, disrespecting the dude who asked him the question about Japanese games by stating blatantly untrue comments.
Yeah.
Then when that outrage happened, he went on Twitter and started telling people to suck his cock and and freaking started being like, "Oh, I have an IGF award," and and then getting a second IGF award. It's like, Phil, dude, everybody knows that the reason you got a second IGF award is because you're friends with the people who run IGF. Like, it's a giant. Everybody knows that IGF is a giant circle jerk of like the elitist indie gamers who think they're all artsy fartsy. Like, that's a tight community. It's really small.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways.
Yeah, that's enough talking about that. Fox Engine, which was shown off, was it like two E3s ago?
Yeah.
I think it was shown off during Konami's E3 2011, like, pre-recorded show. It was slightly shown off, or it was revealed or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, Fox Engine is apparently nearly complete, and Hideo Kojima announced that they will be showing it off on August 30th in Japan. And people are speculating that this is going to be, they're going to show it off with a new Metal Gear Solid game, which has been rumored also for a while now that there's a new Metal Gear Solid game coming out. So we'll see what happens with that. And he goes on, he talked about how, like, production studios in Japan are nearly extinct, and how maybe, like, some production studios in Japan will use the Fox engine or something like that. I'm not sure. But we'll see how that engine is and see how that goes. So next up is something about Windows 8 and how we were talking about sort of like having an open platform before, but Gabe Newell, man behind Valve,
an ex-Microsoft employee, actually.
Yes, he basically states that Windows 8 is a piece of crap.
Yep, and that's why they're making a Linux client for Steam.
And this is, quote, this is what he said: "I think that Windows 8 is kind of a catastrophe for everybody in the PC space. I think that we're going to lose some of the top-tier PC original equipment manufacturers. They'll exist. I'm terrible at reading right now. They'll exit the market. I think margins are going to be destroyed for a bunch of people. If that's true, it's going to be a good idea to have alternatives to hedge against that eventually. But when you start thinking about a platform, you have to address it." So he's basically saying Windows 8 is just not a good platform for what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, and the truth is that he's probably saying most of that for selfish reasoning based on the fact that Xbox Live is built in.
Yeah.
But he's right. That is bullshit that it's built in. And I can't imagine most PC gamers being happy about the inclusion based on what we've seen of games for Windows Live.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is the start menu kind of blows too.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it's just Metro, you have to go to the Metro.
Mm-hmm. And they're not making it optional,
stuff.
And it's a tablet interface on a PC. It just doesn't work.
No. And to go along with that, Blizzard also basically stated the same
Pardo.
thing. Yeah, Rob Pardo of Blizzard was just like, I think he also said, like, it's a catastrophe as well.
Well, I think he just said that. I think he just said at Gabe or whatever on Twitter.
He quoted basically his quote and basically agreed with it, and he's like, not awesome for
not
Blizzard
awesome
either.
for Blizzard either. Yeah.
Yeah. So Windows 8 not looking like it'll be something that's very popular with the game developers out there.
So next piece of news is CDA Projekt Red says that the industry is overexploiting gamers by charging for additional content. Eventually people will stop buying their stuff. I've been saying this for a long time. But basically, Marcin Iwinski, the CEO, said, when we had that so we have this idea where we make all this stuff, all this new content, and you don't pay anything for it. We give it away for free. How about that? The publisher went all big-eyed and said, whoa, let's charge $10, €10. So he's talking about basically the enhanced editions of Witcher 1 and Witcher 2, which famously CD Projekt Red has given out free of charge, despite the fact that they add like 10 hours to each of the games. And, they just continue to be fantastic developer that really gets their product and how games should be handled, and that's why they're one of the top PC devs in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yep.
People need to take note because Valve is handling free-to-play better than anybody else. CD Projekt Red is treating their fans great. They're selling millions of copies. Yeah, with respect, and still selling millions of copies with DRM-free games. So I mean, it's just. That's really all it's about, man, is if you do these things and you make a solid piece of software, you've got nothing to worry about. Not only that, you'll become popular instead of hated. People won't begrudgingly buy your games, and you won't have people boycotting your crap. Ubisoft on PC, for years, they're finally starting to back away from their DRM, but for years now, people either begrudgingly buy their games, wait till they're very, very cheap, or don't buy them at all. I land in the third option. I will not buy an Ubisoft game on PC that has that DRM. If it's got that DRM in it, that always online crap, I will never buy. Period.
Yeah, you've said that before too. So it's like that stuff is just not good, man. I mean,
no, it's not. It's not cool. And then the server went down during the Steam sales because so many people were buying Ubisoft crap for cheap.
Yeah, all that stuff happens. Yeah. Next piece of news is Crytek. Probably could have mentioned this before when we were talking about the other Crytek news, but anyway, Crytek is working with Nintendo on something, and they don't really say what. I'll read the direct quote. They were asked about Crysis 3 coming to Wii U, and this is basically what Mike Reed of Crytek said. I wouldn't say there's no chance. I wouldn't say no chance. I mean, the Wii U still doesn't have any kind of release date attached to it at this point. Who knows what the future will bring with it? I can definitely say that we are working with Nintendo, and that's about all I can say on that front. I wouldn't rule it out, but there has really been no official releases associated with the Wii U yet, and given that we're releasing Crysis in an 8-month time period in February of 2013, we can't play off what their schedules are. I wouldn't rule it out, but it is a possibility. To me, it sounds like they might be bringing some free-to-play stuff to Wii U, which is what they're trying to do in the future.
I could see Crysis 3, but yeah.
Yeah, Crysis 3 might be something they'll release, but I feel like when they're saying they're working with Nintendo, they might be working on...
I could see them porting the Crytek engine too, like one of the older the current version on current-gen consoles.
That's possible, and
because they're trying to compete with Epic for middleware.
Yeah.
So they'll need to have their stuff available.
I just still don't understand why developers are being so secretive. It's almost as if Nintendo
they just don't want to guarantee anything.
But developers we know that have projects coming out for Wii U, it's as if Nintendo just doesn't want them to announce anything still. Some developers have come out and said, yeah, we're going to announce stuff in September, which is basically when Nintendo is going to be announcing the release date and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe that's when Crytek will talk about stuff. Maybe they won't. Who knows? Final piece of news is another piece of Nintendo news. Nintendo released their fiscal results for the first quarter of the new year, what was the months that
January to March or January to April or something?
I think it might be like March or something. But anyway, whatever. They released their fiscal results, and they had a net loss of 220 million units, which was basically expected with the 3DS still selling at a loss.
Which it's now selling at a profit.
Which, they announced that same day after they released those results that the 3DS is no longer selling at a loss. We don't know how much how much profit they're making off of it. It could be just like a couple bucks, but they also announced that 1.9 million units of the 3DS sold during that quarter, and that 3DS has sold a total of 19 million units of hardware worldwide, which is still ahead of the DS's pace at that point in time, but
eventually the DS once those
the DS
Lite
just
numbers.
shot up at some point. I don't know exactly when, but
Pretty sure it was the DS Lite.
Yeah, for sure. But the 3DS XL is coming. I'm interested to see how that's going to increase the sales of the 3DS over in Japan, because that just released and they're going to be releasing the sales in next week. So I'm interested to see how well that sells for Nintendo. But the Wii is basically dying for them. What did they say? They estimated that the Wii and Wii U will be selling 10.5 million by year's end. So that's Wii U plus Wii. I don't think they expect much for Wii as far as sales, unless they...
Well, Wii U is probably only going to have about 2 million units around the end of the year on shelves.
Yeah, worldwide, 2 to 3 million.
Before the end of the year.
Yeah. And,
That's it.
I guess that's basically it.
So that was Real Buttons episode 6. And
yeah,
we'll
hope
catch
you guys
next
enjoyed
time.
it.
Yeah.
See you
Peace.
later.